primary education in Britain begins at the age of 5. Parents have a responsibility to educate their children, but not always in schools. And yet, until recently, homeschooling was associated with zealous parents having eccentric ideas. Today, however, dinner table conversations among middle-class parents who are conscious of their children's education often lead to debate about the pros and cons of educating children at home. A depressing catalog of complaints, large classes, bullying, and school violence, teaching standards, and despair with the incessant pressure of examinations has led many parents to think the unthinkable. It is estimated that 140,000 children, about 1.5% of the school population, are homeschooled in Britain, a growth of about 10% during the past year. About half of these children have been withdrawn from school. The rest were homeschooled from the start. So why are more parents choosing this option? The new generation of home teachers tends to be motivated more by fears that their children are not thriving in conventional schools. A mother of a 7-year-old daughter in an industrial town, for example, is pragmatic about her decision to take her daughter out of her local primary school. Her teachers lack the ability to stimulate and encourage her, claims she, who is not committed to homeschooling on principle. I would put her back in the system if there was a decent school in this area. The fear of bullying is also often raised. The perception that schools are unsafe places drives many parents to the conclusion that they should educate at home, even if only 6 months until the bullying is resolved. Another mother, who is also representative of a homeschooling support group, says that the erosion of classroom discipline means that many schools resemble a war zone. She believes that it is now group pressure rather than teachers that dominates the classroom. Some parents worry that children who are either specially gifted or have learning difficulties are often overlooked within a highly bureaucratic school system. A mother, who is as well an author of a book on a woman's role at home, has decided to school her daughters at home throughout the primary years. She argues that schools often fail to respond to the individual needs of children. The growth of home education is not simply a reflection of the unhappy state of the British education system. It can also reflect the fact that modern-day parents are more concerned with the task of child raising than ever before. Our overprotective parenting has led to a steady expansion of the amount of time mothers and fathers spend looking after their children, and a corresponding reduction in the freedom children are given to explore their world with one another. Homeschooling takes this one step further. In addition, it is surprisingly easy to begin homeschooling. Parents do not even need permission from the local education authority to educate their families at home. However, those who withdraw their child from school in England and Wales need to inform the head of their education authority. After this, parents can expect education officers to inquire about the arrangements they are making. Most authorities take a fairly hands-off attitude. The representative of a homeschooling support group notes that home educating families are visited once a year for a half-hour session. She found these visits useful since they affirmed that what she was teaching was on the right track. There is also an elaborate network of support available to those opting to home educate. Materials and advice for different levels of teaching are readily available on the internet, as well as in books and other publications. Many parents join local support groups. In principle, there is no reason children cannot be successfully educated at home, although it is more difficult as they get older. While there are some successful cases, few parents are equipped to teach mathematics and science beyond the basic level. Others might ask, do children educated at home gain the social skills necessary to relate to their age group and the outside world? Most supporters of homeschooling say yes, but sound a little defensive on this subject. One supporter says, we spend a considerable amount of time scheduling group activities for the children. So, what's the downside of home education? It is a loss of free time for the home teacher. That was why a mother who lives in South London packed in her experiment. She removed her 12-year-old and 13-year-old from their state schooling because of concern about their education, but gave up homeschooling after just over a year. 1 year of home teaching finished me off, she recalls. Her solution was to move near a good school. Homeschooling is time-consuming if it is done properly, and leaves little space to run a career, look after other children, or run a home. Since time is the one thing most modern-day adults lack, it seems likely that despite its growth, home teaching will be used only by a small minority of parents. Indeed, many children are taken out of schools for only short periods of time before their parents resume their careers.